the chaos of running a program, deciding which reward mechanic, should we do tiers, should we do points, does it make commercial sense, etc. At the end of the day, the person receiving this is human and they have personal goals that they want to achieve. You often get so caught up in everything operational, everything around your day job. You forget some of the intentions as to why you're doing it, and just remind yourself that the people receiving this are real humans. Being a member that is slightly disengaged or very disengaged doesn't mean that they have bad intentions. What can you do as program manager or whomever's working on the program to identify that that is something that you could deem as an opportunity to re-engage, and just remember there are humans at the end of our journey.
This show is brought to you by Comark, the global loyalty partner trusted by enterprise brands in over 50 countries. With more than 30 years of experience and 290 million loyalty members on board, Comark knows what it takes to build real connections that last. Their AI-powered tools turn data into action and customers into superfans. From fraud-proof platforms to personalized journeys, Comark helps you boost engagement, grow revenue, and make loyalty your competitive edge. Want to see how they do it? Head over to comark.com and discover loyalty that actually works. Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Loyalty and Loyalty TV. It's Paula Thomas here, and today I'm delighted to welcome our guest host, Joanna Witsch, a lady who has been on the show a few times as a guest, given her expertise and loyalty consulting work with our partners in Comark. Joanna is from Poland, but based here in Dubai. And today she's hosting one of Comark's loyal clients, Virgin Active, based in South Africa, which is part of the Virgin Group globally. I hope you enjoyed this conversation hosted by Joanna Witsch from Comark.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Let's Talk Loyalty and Loyalty TV. Today we are heading to South Africa to explore a loyalty proposition that is quite different from traditional loyalty programs. Virgin Active is one of the leading health and fitness brands in the region. Its Virgin Active Rewards program is designed to motivate members, support their healthy habits, help people achieve their fitness goals, all through gamified engagement, recognition, and weekly rewards. It's a program that has become a standout in the South African loyalty space, and not only because of its strong brand, but because it taps into something people genuinely care about, which is feeling better, moving more, and getting rewarded for the right choices. Our guest today is Ros Netto, Global Head of Rewards at Virgin Active, who will share with us how the program started, what makes it unique, and how Virgin Active continues to engage members in that very dynamic environment. I hope you enjoy our conversation. So hi Ros, how are you? I'm so excited to have you today on the show with me. Thank you for accepting the invite.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure to be on the Let's Talk Loyalty podcast with you, particularly as it's the first time I'm being interviewed by you. So I'm very excited.
I'm really happy to hear that. I'm really particularly excited about our conversation today. Rose, before we start off with the official part of the interview, there is one question that is being asked normally on the show, and that's about your favorite book. The important element in here, it must be a non-fiction book. It may be about business, maybe about loyalty, whatever has inspired you. Can be recent, can be an old one. So please share with us what the book is about.
Sure. So one of my favorite books, I think a disclaimer, I'm not a massive reader. And interestingly, of the books that I've ever read or that I tend to gravitate to are actually nonfiction books. But one of the ones that I tend to always take out at this time of year, it's quite an old book. It was published in 2009. It's called The Happiness Project by Gretchen Rubin.
Nice.
And it is really about setting intentional goals, not New Year's resolutions. You could do it any time of year really, but I always find that I start to think about what next year looks like, as we're entering into the new year. And it is really about setting intentional goals with this underlying purpose of ones that genuinely make you happy. And it breaks down the concept of happiness. Happiness can feel like such a loose term, but to genuinely understand about the things and prioritize the things that make you happy gives you a lot more motivation to actually want to fulfill those tasks. So I particularly love it. I always kind of reflect on it this time of year. And, because you've asked this question, I have then thought, oh, actually, the books that I do tend to like have all seemingly something to do with goal setting and habit formation. And it probably is a bit privy to the role that I've played Virgin Active,
I'm
like books like
sure.
Atomic Habits, etc. So, but, one of my favorites is The Happiness
It's
Project
that
from
one,
Virgin.
the Happiness Project. We will definitely link that one because I'm sure there will be also an audience interested in that one. And I am going also to check it out, as I always personally look into some, self-development kind of books, for inspiration. So that's great to hear. Perfect. Alrighty, then I guess we are ready to move on to the next question. And the next question is really, I have got to know you a little bit already, but our audience, perhaps not everyone yet knows you. So if you could please introduce yourself, Rose, what your experience is and what do you currently do, and perhaps a little bit more about Virgin Active on its own before we then move on to more.
Yeah, so I have been in the reward space, loyalty space for about 15 years.
Nice.
It wasn't a natural progression. I'd studied human resource management, got into a retailer and kind of worked in that space, but it really didn't resonate with me. And until I met a person that you're very familiar with, Amanda Cromholt, as Loyalty Let's Talk podcaster as well. And I worked for her business for Truth for about 9 years as a consultant. So that was my kind of baptism into the reward space. There it was, the most fundamental learning in everything I know about rewards and loyalty, strategy, design, implementation, research, all of that was all encompassing of being under the Truth umbrella as a consultant. And I loved it. We did local consultancy to international projects, which really broadened my experience and knowledge in that space. However, I always felt that there was a gap in my experience, that I'd never owned or worked on a single program from start to finish. I was never really the program manager or head of the program. And, having seen how that benefited my colleagues, Amanda, having that skill set was something I always said to her I was missing. And it so happened that then I found a really suitable next chapter at Kauai, which is South Africa's largest fast casual healthy food chain.
Okay.
And I headed up their rewards program for a few years there. I guess the international audience in South Africa, Kauai is really well known, as well as a partnership with Virgin Active. So for many years, Kauai had their cafes or have their cafes in a lot of the Virgin Active gyms. And so, in about 2022, 23, Virgin Active acquired Kauai officially. So as part of their growth strategy, as part of the Virgin Active strategy to offer something beyond just a fitness destination, they wanted to make that more formalized as part of where Virgin Active is today as a social wellness club. And so, as it happened, me being on the Kauai side of the business, then transitioning into, the Virgin Active space, I kind of managed both programs for a little while, for about 12 months at one
Oh,
stage.
wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
a
running
hard work.
yeah, and that was phenomenal learning because it was part of that transition into the new space, the
Understand.
new strategy.
Yeah.
And then when I returned back from maternity leave, I kind of, stepped into the role of global head
Mm.
of rewards, which is what I am today. And essentially, I'm responsible for the delivery of the reward strategy across all
Mm.
our territories, of which there are 8 territories in the Virgin Active umbrella. And I'm solely responsible with the team to deliver the strategy and execution of our rewards efforts across the Virgin Group. Virgin Active.
Perfect. Sounds very good. And Rose, before I ask you more about what you guys do at Virgin Active and what Virgin Active Rewards stand for, I remember you emphasized on it, and you also say it now. You spoke about Virgin Active Rewards program and not loyalty program. I'm very curious, and I'm sure our audience as well. Like, what does this mean for you? What's the difference between the loyalty program and the rewards program from your perspective?
Yes, so I'm glad you noticed that, and I was reflecting. We do reflect on it quite often because in a space or in an environment like South Africa and our other territories, the proliferation of rewards programs and loyalty programs are everywhere. It's a very well saturated market,
It
particularly
is
in the loyalty program space.
correct.
But the reason why, we are quite firm in our belief that we are not just another loyalty program is
Mm.
because we, number one, don't incentivize a transactional behavior,
Mhm.
behavior. We are really intentional about recognizing members achieving their wellness goals. And, while some of the mechanics and I guess metrics as well that are
Mm.
very well defined in a loyalty program, they can't easily be replicated in our space
Understand.
as easily. But
Mm.
it's, at the end of the day, fundamentally is that we are rewarding a behavior change because that has a direct impact on us as a broader business. That if our members are achieving their wellness goals, seeing value in our product, they
Mm.
will stay with us for longer. And so much so that, even my title has had to change from head of loyalty to
That's
reward.
interesting. So
And
it used to be
it
originally, it
used to
was
be, yes.
loyalty.
Yes. And
Interesting.
I think that's really important, like not just for us to like, put a title on something,
Mm.
but it shows our intention. It shows it internally as a discussion point
Mm.
for, our staff to understand that difference. And then of course, when it comes to our members, is to know that it's not just a transactional relationship
Mm.
like do and get. There is an intention of us trying to build something for you for the longer term.
Understand. No, that sounds great. Building on what you just mentioned, right, that South Africa is very saturated program. I think, South Africa and many loyalty programs are definitely kind of role models globally, right? Because we talk about programs which really go showing strong KPIs, strong metrics, which everyone in the loyalty world wish to achieve. As you say, the other side of the coin is saturated. And I think also the other element is big part of the population, and if I remember that correct, from the September event, it was about 70% of the adult population in South Africa is just so poor that they can't even, shop those brands, right, which offer the loyalty program. So while we may be thinking South Africa is a huge market and, there is so much opportunity in there, the reality isn't so straightforward. So my question to you is, in this world, in this reality, how did Virgin Active start with their, at the beginning, loyalty, now the rewards program? What is the success story? How did that all go, actually? If you could please share with us, Rose.
Yes, so your points are absolutely valid. We have a very diverse market, and I think that's the beauty of how the
Mm.
loyalty space has not just evolved, but like being able to adapt to the vast differences that we do
Mm.
find in the South African market, and how the loyalty programs have shown up for members and customers at different income levels, life stages, etc.
Mm.
So I think as a case study in itself, the vast I think differentiating factors, innovation from South African loyalty industry is something, to behold, to be
Mm.
honest.
Mm.
Having said that though, Virgin Active is a premier premium offering.
Of
It
course.
is, not your daily need, necessity of buying your groceries,
Mm.
etc.
Mm.
Having said that though, there is truth to be told in how we have developed a program that is, I don't want to say agnostic to the environments within South Africa and the
Yeah.
things that influence us. But we definitely know that we still, while we are on this rewards journey, incentivizing behaviors, where it does become important is the type of rewards that we do offer, even
Understood.
though we are a more premium brand.
Mm.
So how it started is back in 2023, we launched in South Africa first. And, that the intention of that was quite clear that we
Mm.
never had a rewards program before. We certainly were looking at, industry benchmarks, and there's very few that resided with what we wanted to achieve. The first and foremost objective of our program we
Mm.
launched back then was to engage our disengaged members. And in our world, a disengaged member is someone that has not visited our club, in a certain period of time. And those members, unfortunately, tend to be those that are most at risk at terminating their
Mhm.
membership with us.
Of course.
Our memberships are a monthly premium that you pay. You commit to a
Okay.
12-month contract and
Okay.
can then go on to a month-to-month plan. Having said that, though, it's therefore critical that we can incentivize and acknowledge our members for the efforts of coming into our spaces.
Mm.
So in 2023, we started off with a very basic proposition in purely to incentivize members to use our facilities. So it was a
Okay.
very low fly goal achievement, 2
Mm.
visits a week, with some tier benefits to, add some extra value
Mm.
to our members in terms of partner discounts. We let that run for 12 months because, like I said, we didn't really have anything to compare it to. We'd never
Mhm.
done it before from a
Mhm.
Virgin Active perspective. And what we saw was phenomenal results. We absolutely
Mm.
shifted the dial for members that were previously disengaged. And remember, in 2023, with the gym industry being really hard hit by the pandemic
Mm.
a few years prior to that, we really had to work a lot harder to get members
Mm.
to move off the digital, accessible training programs that they
I'm
became used to
sure.
during the pandemic to
I'm sure.
feel comfortable to come back into our spaces. So
Mm.
having that in the back of our head was also one of the reasons why we launched the way we did. And, in that first year, we saw the most phenomenal results. The adoption rate of the rewards program within 12 months in South Africa was 79% adoption rate. We
That's
had,
amazing. Mm.
yeah, it was really, well received by our members. 60% less likely to terminate is what we see from our rewards members. And we really did shift the usage of disengaged members to become more engaged in our program. So that was South Africa's launch, back in 2023. And we have since evolved the program, which I guess we
Mm.
might touch on in the upcoming questions. But essentially that was why we started it. And taking that model and replicating it into the subsequent territories with confidence is because we have the results to show that we have in fact incentivized the change in behavior.
Now that sounds great. I mean, the KPIs which you are talking about, the adoption rate, and of course making sure that the churn rate is much lower. This is absolutely bravo for for this kind of achievement. Can I ask, do you have more competitors in the South African space, which also provide kind of loyalty programs and the kind of incentives, or your competitors did not have any loyalty program, and this was your kind of space to win that part?
It's an interesting question when it comes to competitors. So, as a Virgin Active, so not thinking about rewards, we get asked, well, surely other gym chains and niche, pop-up gyms or boxes are your direct competitors. Of course they are, of course. But, think about the things that deter members from coming into our spaces. It's not necessarily that they're going to another gym. It's because they're watching Netflix. It's because they, whatever the other things that
they
are
are
far
not
more
chasing their
attractive.
fitness goals anymore, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So from a competition perspective, yes, like we could look at that. But from a loyalty and reward space, there, of course, are gym chains offering, incentives for signing up and, paying your membership fees. We have, Discovery Vitality is a huge player in our market that offer a wellness proposition, a behavior change program as well, of which Virgin Active is a very key partner in that program. So we don't view ourselves as a competitor to them. In fact, probably more of an enabler because we share the same members. Their members have access to our facilities at a discounted rate because they've earned that in their program. So the reciprocal benefit is huge for us. But no, if I were to, is there a carbon copy of someone else doing what we do at the moment? Not necessarily that we've seen in South Africa, but certainly there are some similar programs.
Understand. But I'm just asking myself in my head is, what is more difficult? When you have actually, let's say like in the retail loyalty space where, the reason why people are dropping or became more frequent or their basket has changed is because, yes, there are competitors. And as you say, within COVID coming, all our shopping behaviors have changed, right? We are shopping more online rather than actually in brick and mortar stores. So yeah, the loyalty programs fight actually, right, for those customers. Don't let them go to the competitors. But what your program does or started to do was really to make people be less lazy and look after themselves, look after their wellness and then fitness and bring them back. So this is something else. This is another challenge to have and bring. I guess the upside is, well, yes, there are some competitors, but it's not what we are fighting here with, right? We really want to make it rewarding and engaging for you to come back and be with us and look after yourself. I think I really love it. And this is the reason why I really was excited to talk about you, because it's something which really stands out. It's completely, different proposition, different mentality and different objectives that otherwise, we can see within the other loyalty programs. So very, very interesting. Rose, so this is how it started, what you said, right? With some basic proposition, with rewarding people for visiting you twice, as you mentioned, also some tiers, partnerships as well. But then you mentioned the program within that proposition was running for around 1 year. So what has changed recently? So I remember when we discussed some time ago was that you have started kind of a transition. That's one, but also expansion to other markets. So if you could please share some more details with us.
Absolutely. So, after the 12-month, learnings from the South Africa launch, we knew that the fast follow of launching our program into our other territories was imminent, because our rewards program is only available in our Virgin Active app. So it's
Of
part and
course.
parcel of the app. So we've had to also make sure that we were prepared when the app release in those territories was planned for two, right? So the one couldn't go without the other.
Makes
And that
sense.
was also a very clear strategy of the business to say we will not launch an app without rewards program, because the rewards program really is that scaffolding and support to help members achieve their goals. The rest of the app is quite functional in that you can book your classes, you can,
Okay.
meet up with a PT, personal trainer, you could watch online content, etc. But the real progress tracking, the rewards component is very intentionally designed to be front and center of the app, because we know that the benefits and the things that motivate members. So what we learned over the first 12 months was two things. One, that was a very clear strategy for the disengaged members, but we needed to flex up for members that were already engaged, that were already visiting us, often, upwards of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times per week. As well as ensuring that the program remained, commercially viable for the future. So some of the changes that we've implemented was to stretch some of the weekly visit goals for members, the visit goals, so that it felt like you were making a progression, but not stretching it too far that it felt unrealistic to achieve, because that becomes, you become quite disincentivized, demotivated, and it just becomes unrealistic for members to be able to achieve goals that are asking too much of them. Bearing in mind that we are all, trying to support members through realistic nudges and goals that will get them to achieve their own goals. So that was one of the first changes we did make, was making sure that the weekly goals could adjust according to your previous week's behavior. And then also looking at a lot more of our segments, treating our segments quite differently. So, the base program didn't fundamentally change too much, in that we started to introduce things like milestones, which helped the more engaged members reach their longer streaks. So things like reaching your weekly goal for 12, 26, and 52 weeks.
Wow. So every week.
Absolutely. And I'll share a note on that in a second. But so that was really the core of the change of the program. But we also then became a lot better, more sophisticated in our personalization journey, being able to then recognize different cohorts of members depending on how they were engaging on our program. And then we've just over time have also enhanced our partner proposition. So our tier benefits have just evolved and keep evolving. But essentially those were the changes that were made.
Understand. Wow, that sounds great. You mentioned something about those milestones. So as you mentioned, 26 and 52 weeks. Can I ask how many members were able actually to meet those milestones? I'm curious about the 52 especially.
So without disclosing, I guess, the exact number, I can definitely share that the business case that we had planned for when we made this plan did not foresee the number of members that actually achieved 52 weeks. So we based it on previous usage behavior, and we thought, well, of course that's what we could compare it to, and going into the future we can make some adjustments. But we've had our first round of 52 weekers achieve it in the last few months now, and safe to say it has far exceeded the original number that we anticipated. which is a good problem to have. It really does
Absolutely.
show that, the program has incentivized these members to stick to their goals.
Mm.
Our program at the moment doesn't actually cater for things like a rest week right now.
Mm.
And that means that members absolutely tried their best, whether they were on holiday or not, or traveling or not, to not miss their weekly goal so that they could
Mm.
achieve, the 26 and 52-week milestone. And what I think we found most interesting about this group of individuals, and as we've rolled out to Italy and the UK, a year later, they are starting to hit those milestones too. Their members are starting to hit those milestones too. Is that for a long time, we actually hadn't expressed the reward that they were going to unlock. We
Mm.
kept it quite secret for a while.
So
And
you wouldn't know what you get for it, actually.
yes, and what I think really has sat with us as a team is the fact that they were still motivated because they were so obsessed with their weekly progress, and being able to see that in the app, that breaking that streak probably
Yeah.
meant more to them than the actual reward.
Yeah.
And of course, then we introduced the reward and there was a lot of excitement about it, but it was really very interesting to see that behavior of members desperately not wanting to break
Wow.
their streaks and being very proud of
Mm.
what they have achieved by visuals in the app, seeing like all
Mm.
their weeks have been completed. So,
That is-
and I think that talks to a lot of the kind of theory around the program. Lots of people are familiar with the theory of motivation, of,
Yeah.
initially getting people to start forming healthier habits through extrinsic motivation,
Mhm.
and then kind of weaning them into a space where it's not always about the end reward of tangible physical reward. It is more around how I'm feeling and how proud I am, and that of that achievement.
Yeah.
And that I no longer need the instant gratification and extrinsic motivation.
Mm.
And I think that really talks to this group of
Mm.
individuals. So yeah, fascinating for
Oh
us to have
boy.
had that
Yeah.
problem, but
Yeah.
a good problem nonetheless.
I'm sure. And I guess this is such a huge learning and at the same time, huge advice to all the loyalty practitioners who may be wondering, should I actually do something about, should I start gamify, right? And should I show really that engagement to our members without, yes, having some, expensive, pricey rewards at the end of the day? This is the proof, guys. Virgin Active Rewards really has proved that it works. That's absolutely amazing. And I guess that's also something, lots of other companies. I'm thinking about the Apple Fitness. So, I'm also looking into when I'm getting those confirmations, that I have completed my 7 days workout and my stand-up hours and right. This is exactly how this works. In your case, I guess it's even more sophisticated and even more engaging. Ros, you also mentioned about launching the loyalty program in the UK, in Italy. And as we speak, it's been very short time after also launching the program in Australia. I'm sure this isn't as easy as said, just to kind of, okay, we've made our experience in one country, which is quite diverse. So it's also challenging at the same time. So we think what we are going to do and what is going to work. What kind of challenges have you and your team met on the way? What are the lessons you could share with our audience? What has surprised you, perhaps, as well within that expansion to other markets?
A great question. Yeah, we definitely still learning along the way, given we've now just launched in our fourth territory.
Mm.
But what we have seen as a consistent, we could call it a challenge, but just thing that needs a bit more
Mm.
consideration is that we developed a strategy and a framework for our rewards program with the intention to be
Mm.
able to easily replicate it as best as possible across each territory. What has been kind of the bigger learning is that that framework absolutely can exist across multiple territories, but the nuances and the things that need to be carefully considered is more around the localization of the rewards offering. So are the rewards that you have included in the program appealing to that market? Are they, there are certain nuances that make it quite challenging in that maybe the market isn't as astute as, a more mature loyalty market. There are some technology limitations or challenges such as, not basics, but often overlooked things like your POS, point of sale integrations, legacy systems, your member management systems, all the systems that feed into the rewards program are quite different by territory. So that in itself definitely needs a far more consideration than I think initially anticipated. But maybe I'll circle back to two things. So the one is that we developed this program, and as you know, we use Comark as our platform provider. And having worked with the Comark team to build that structure has been incredibly seamless to take that and implement that into each territory. And I think that goes to the credit of the Comark team in the way in which they have supported us doing that. So that's, of course, number one. Number two, on that point around the rewards per territory and how those need to be carefully crafted, is we definitely took for granted how well smoothies work in the South African market. I'm going to be quite practical here. Ask anyone in the South African market, not even in a loyalty space, about what is one of the most favored or preferred rewards, or if they think about the most common reward across the bigger programs in South Africa, it's a Kauai smoothie, no doubt. And we know that is part of the legacy of rewards in our space. It is also, because Kauai is so embedded into the Virgin Active ecosystem, they are the most redeemed rewards in our space. Having worked for Kauai and being partners of other programs, the smoothie has always been very well received by the South African market. Taking that into a territory like Italy, where you think, well, climate-wise, in summer, hot summers, smoothies make sense. Our South African market has really enjoyed smoothies. Not necessarily the case. Italians still love their coffee. To our dismay. No, I'm joking. But we also have Kauai cafes in Italy and the UK. So we also thought that was a natural progression. But in fact, no, I might be quite flippant now. But yeah, Italians still love their coffee, and we should have probably taken that on the chin to know that going into it. But beyond that, beyond the rewards, which is quite, I guess, an obvious one, is just also ways of working with different members of your teams and across different time zones, and just I guess work policies, how they engage with their suppliers and their vendors that need to support our rewards initiatives. So, while I think it's completely doable to have a global strategy and global framework, don't be surprised by the importance and build in the time for the localization of those things. So that would be probably the biggest learning that we've experienced having done this now across the 4 territories.
Perfect. So what did you replace the smoothies in Italy with? Is it coffee or is it something else?
Yeah, they still get their smoothies if they want to, but there are coffees, coffees and other snack items. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Lovely. So talking about expansion and talking about the whole change, the transition. What's next for the 2026 at Virgin Active Rewards, Rose? What's your plan?
Yeah, so looking into 2026, we want to build on the foundations of our existing program, of course.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you often get asked like, oh, what do you think the trends on? What do you think how are you going to adapt to
Mm.
those? In our space, things like personalization just won't stop.
Of course.
You catch up and then you fall
Of course.
behind.
Yeah,
And
that's what it is.
yeah, and we definitely know that
Mm.
we have a lot more to do in that space. And that is probably a result of, the things that support rewards in the business that might
Mm.
not be ready for it. So not all our territories are on the same CRM systems, et
Mm.
cetera, et cetera. So as those adoptions through the territories are happening, we will start to flex up those
Mm.
the personalization of our rewards, of how we talk to members, and just improve on that. We are very proud with what we've done in that space already.
Mm.
We know the direct impact on a good engagement strategy to support the rewards initiative, to
Yeah.
support members achieving their goals it's not going anywhere, put it that way.
Yeah.
We, of course, will continue to then roll out to the respective territories that we haven't done yet. So with 4 down, we've got 4 to go.
Oh,
So,
wow. Is it
so
all for next year or not necessarily?
that's the ambitious plan as we
Okay.
usually have.
Okay.
But who knows?
You're going to be very busy. I can
Yeah,
hear
and
that.
then we do want to start looking at
Mm.
unlocking additional mechanics within our program, like tapping
Nice.
into a bit more gamification.
Lovely.
Um, yeah, and then again, one of the standards that we want to improve on is our partnerships.
Mm.
Partners also evolve with the
Of course.
times. We want to be, as our program is gaining more traction, we feel like we can also be a lot more selective about the partners that we want to engage with. And we can also then add more value in the partner ecosystem. So yeah, I think it's a good
Mm.
combination of keeping on track with our personalization strategies, upping our kind of newness in the program with some new
Mm.
mechanics, and then of course, adding some additional partners to, kind of just overlay that
Mm.
additional value we provide to our
Makes
members.
sense. Makes absolutely sense. As we slowly will have to be wrapping up, Rose, although I could just continue because in my mind I just have so many questions, but we will do it offline perhaps.
No problem.
Whenever you come to Dubai or whenever we are coming to Cape Town again. Can I ask, what are you mostly proud of? Because you've guys done so much in relatively short span of time, if I must admit, in 4 markets. So what is that you're mostly proud of?
We were asked this question the other day, and on the surface, I guess we are being recognized for our efforts externally by, the international awards that we've
Hmm.
won.
Yeah.
And we've been, it's quite a considered thing to enter these awards and take the time to really express the value of your
Hmm.
program in that way. And, that of course is no doubt a way in which we feel recognized for our efforts as our team and as the business, both in South Africa and at the international awards. And of course, our teammates being individually recognized is also
Yeah.
a testament to their commitment. But there's a story that I love to share always, because they can't, you get asked like, but what is that moment that makes you feel like what you're doing really
Hmm.
matters? And we run an initiative called the Top 100. And
Hmm.
every year we recognize our top performing members who visit our clubs the most. So our top
Okay.
100 who visit the most. And,
Okay.
we're talking about those guys who do their 52-week milestones, but these members are visiting on average 347 times a year.
Wow. So
That's the
only
average.
holidays is out, otherwise they are there every single day.
Pretty much every day. And that in itself is testament to the commitment that these members are
Hmm.
making. But we wanted this time last year, or was it? Yeah, it was earlier this year. We wanted to understand from these members, because it's only 100 members. It feels like you can literally put your arm around all of them.
Of course, yeah.
Because what these top 100 members get is they get a personalized plaque to put on the locker of their choice for the year. So they go into the gym, we do a whole handover ceremony, they're the top 100. And some of these members, since the beginning of our program, will now be in the running for the third time in a row to achieve this, which is crazily impressive. But we ran a survey to these members to understand what motivates them. Like, how do you get to do this every single day? Like, what gets you going? And by large assumptions, it's just part of their life and they've always been like that, and, no particular reason. But there were a good proportion of them that shared their stories that came from either, being physically unwell, challenged, either, having suffered with mental issues, disabilities, etc., and really needing to gain the confidence to train again and to, prep their bodies to be in a good state once. And the stories that got shared from that group of individuals really sat with our team, because it really showed that what we are doing is providing members with the tools and the guidance that they needed to achieve greatness for themselves, right? So that was, from a success, what deems success. Of course, there are trophies and awards, but if you get the opportunity to work on a program that genuinely changes the lives of your members, I mean, what, right? So, yeah, that's a snippet of the things we get to see as part of this program, which it makes us very proud.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and I think it's really beautiful end to our today's discussions, to our today's conversation, because I've been working mainly in retail loyalty programs, and we always talk about, oh yeah, just helping rich people to spend more money with the brands we are working with. You never think about how loyalty program can actually help to change someone's life, right? So it has much more meaning than just spending money. And I think this again highlights what you keep on emphasizing. It's not only about the loyalty program, it's the rewards program. So there is a significant difference. And I can really understand why are people really falling for it, and how the program really actually helps to achieve wellness goals, and sometimes really, come back to their health, actually, right? To their full health. So that's absolutely amazing. To close up now, because we really have to wrap up, any piece of advice to our audience that you can give as a final note in here, Rose?
I think it partly talks to, what I've just mentioned on those top 100 members as an example, is that with the chaos of running a program, deciding which reward mechanic, should we do tiers, should we do points, does it make commercial sense, etc. At the end of the day, the person receiving this is human, and they have personal goals that they want to achieve. And, that in itself should help guide a lot of or kind of bring you back to center, guide you back to why you are doing it.
Yeah.
So it's, you often get so caught up in everything operational, everything around your day job, that just you forget some of the intentions as to why you're doing it, and just remind yourself that the people receiving this are real humans. They have real reasons to be emotionally attached to your program, real reasons for engaging, disengaging even, so, being a member that is slightly disengaged or very disengaged doesn't mean that they have bad intentions. And therefore, what can you do as a program manager or whomever's working on the program to identify that is something that you could deem as an opportunity to re-engage. And just remember, there are humans at the end of this journey. And that's kind of my advice, is just remember that.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Rose, for this advice, but also for the conversation. I really, truly enjoyed it. I don't know where the time passed, but it was absolutely amazing. And congratulations to you and the team for those achievements. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed for the further expansions, for the new additions to the program. So thank you for joining me and to be a part of Let's Talk Loyalty and Loyalty TV.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, and see you next time.